Welcome in to the Friday, May 16, 2025 installment, Market Plus. Don Roose still with us here. Don, we have some questions that are very similar to the show. First, I want to thank you for filling in. And the reason is, Matt Bennett is still trying to plant. We'll have him here in June. But Don, that's why I asked you the question about the narrowness. Matt was saying in his part of Illinois, just 100 miles away, they are in need of a rain shower. They have everything planted. And where he's at, he's only a third done with corn and a third done with beans. If you are in one of those places, how do you market your crop?
Well, thanks for having me back, Paul. But how do you market your crop? And you're right. I mean, every year there's some area that's having some planting issues. The southeast is probably one, up in the northern plains part of it, far north, is having some issues, like you're saying, parts of Illinois. But for the most part, the crop's going in favorably, and that's what the market reacted to this last week.
Well, the market, you said something Sunday night. I ran out of time during the show and couldn't follow up with. Sunday night, we're going to see this forecast with a whole lot of rain. Traders are going to wake up Monday morning and go, there's a lot of rain in areas that have been dry. Low ahead?
Well, I think, it's more important, Paul, when you get that news, how do you react to it? And that way we know if we're close to some kind of a low. So at these, I think if it was the middle of July, if it was a different time frame, I think it'd be a bigger deal because it's going to be more important as we come out of the 30-day forecast is warmer and drier, so we'll see.
And that's what you had mentioned. We need to get past Memorial Day, get to pollination. So we do. We have a long way to go.
All we've done so far is we've taken some risk premium out of the market, too much maybe, just because we're getting the crop planted. So now we'll see once what happens going forward. May 27th, you're going to start to look at the good to excellent ratings on these crops, corn and beans, and then people start to put a yield on it. So that's in front of us. I always say this like a card game, Paul. As the cards come out, you'll be a little bit smarter, but right now they're still coming out pretty fast.
How about I bring out some questions? Can I deal out a couple of those for you?
You can deal them out.
All right, let's start with Phil in Ontario. Got him off the planter for just a moment. Actually, he might have sent this to me while he was on the planter. Soybeans have shown us something lately before soybean oil dragged them down last Thursday. Is there a facility for a rise in new crop and soybean prices if USDA drops soybean acreage looking ahead? The wide open planting window surely favored even more corn going in.
Well, I think when you look at it, I think it tells you how important some of these biofuel programs are and what they mean to the market. We're talking soybeans, but look at corn ethanol. We use 5.5 billion bushels of corn. But, I think it's going to be a choppy market, right now until we see more information down the road, Paul.
All right, there's beans. I want to talk about beans and corn in their relationship with Dan and Iowa's question here. And this is one that I've kind of had, and I'm very curious what your take is. Is corn leading soybeans or vice versa, or is something else leading both of them?
Well, I think when you look at the fundamentals, the corn is a stronger market up there, followed by the wheat market. And I think soybeans are actually the lagger, but with the acres down as much as they are and the demand still strong by the government, under 300 million carry out, that can change pretty fast on you. We got a big South America crop. Didn't really press us to the downside a lot. The government actually has prices, $10.20 for next year versus $9.95 this year. So I think it's a market that the yield is so important, Paul. Like we were talking earlier, if you lose 1 bushel an acre to 2, it's a huge deal.
And there's a number of reasons that can happen. When you've been dry for consecutive years, there's not as much subsoil, right? And so you're more susceptible. The third year in, you're more susceptible to drier conditions, right?
Yeah, you are. Well, and soybeans are, August is a month for soybeans. And basically, we've lost the export market to South America right now. But when we hit the middle to the end of the summer, our export market will pick up again. So let's see what some of these trade tariffs do, what the weather is. And the wrong time of year to be too negative. But it also is a place from a producer that you need to start looking, what do I do with my new crop?
All right, let's talk about those pairings again if we could. Corn, beans, wheat. Normally, corn and wheat will travel together. But that doesn't seem to be happening right now. What has changed to take away some of that conventional wisdom thinking?
Well, I think the one thing is the kind of sorta. I mean, the wheat market, key reversal got pretty low, $5. In the corn market, they both kind of bottomed together here this week. The soybean market tried to move to the upside. You're right. We made, we were going to take a run at $11. It looked like, and then we got hit with the bean oil coming under pressure due to some uncertainties with some of these biofuel mandates. So. Pretty important what happens with this biofuel mandate.
That has been a big, much larger of a conversation topic than I thought it would be. And do you see that as, I'm not going to say necessarily the word savior, but the saving grace moving forward?
Oh, definitely. I think when you look at it in the future, it's going to be all about aviation fuel. It's all about biodiesel. Look at our corn market right now. 36% of our usage is it comes from ethanol. So I think that's where we're moving, not only in the United States, but I think we're moving there in South America also. They're expanding like we're expanding. So we need a little help from the government. I guess that's what the market's saying.
Well, let's discuss another topic that's always of interest and on top of mind, and that's fertilizer. Gary in Wisconsin wants to know, Don, with increasing fertilizer prices, low grain prices, tariffs, and early planting, if we have summer rains, what is there to be bullish about? Have farmers sat on their hands too long and missed some selling opportunities?
Well, he's right from one standpoint. I think from the middle of May to the early June, you look at where's the best place to get some marketing going forward. After that, you're down to some weather concerns. So I think we're not quite up to bat yet. But last year we went to 385 on December corn. No reason to think that with all good weather that you can't go down to 370. That's the real problem, I think you have to keep a keen eye on when to do some marketing, Paul, and weather scares, tariff strength, biofuel plus. I think those are things you're now starting to be on the watch.
Do you think Monday's movement was more because of tariffs or because of WASDE?
Well, I think Monday, we had some positive news, and we just didn't, we had overnight, we had the U.S.-China tariffs being lowered, a little more of a 90-day cool-off period, a little bit positive. The WASDE was a little bit positive, and we reacted negative. That's not a good sign. That means we're too high.
Well, speaking of high, we need to follow up this from the previous discussion. Scott in Wisconsin, have cattle hit their seasonal top? You don't even have to say seasonal. Have they hit the top?
Well, I think when you look at it, Paul, if you're a technical trader, all indications are we've hit the multi-year top. Some of these wave count tops. You've got everything in place. You've got high-priced beef that, does the consumer start to bulk? You're getting that Memorial Day buying behind you from a seasonal standpoint. And, the packers starting to cut hours on cattle, and you're starting to see increased weight. So all the ingredients are there. The technicals look worse than the fundamentals because beef made an all-time high on Friday, 353, and the cash was $1 to $2 lower midweek and then closed steady.
You had mentioned those weights. They're heavy. Does that mean anything?
Well, that's it. We've been accounting for about 20,000 head more cattle a week just because of the weight. So it's making up a lot of the number loss that we've had. But when you look at the government, we're talking about where are the prices. Okay, let's look at the government. The government, we had a WASDE report. In the report, the government put the fourth quarter cattle prices at $220 for this year. For 2026 first quarter at $222. So the government's giving you a bullish tone, but I've seen the government awful lot, before. So
really? I've never heard you say it either. Yeah. Let's finish, if we could, on Hog Market, because I kind of ran you out of that at the end. Not necessarily you have to answer it with BLTs, but Matthew in Nebraska wants to know, will we see the hog market start to climb after Memorial Day, or are we just stuck? We did put on $2 this week.
No, we did, and I think that's it. That's the hog market. I mean, we've got the seasonals. We're talking about demand. probably you're going from a price standpoint, if the beef market tops out, probably it comes from the pork expansion from the consumer, picking up more pork at the store. Seasonally, we usually go up, like we alluded to, BLT season, and it does push you up into the summer. 40% of the bellies rally 40%, and that pulls up the carcass and that pulls up the hog. So, and the charts don't look that bad. The charts look like you have a target of that gap area, 105.17. So, not a real reason to be overly negative now, but be careful of the fourth quarter.
All right. Don, good to see you.
Thank you, Paul.
Don Roose, everyone. That's going to do it for our Market Plus. I do want to remind you to get signed up for the Market to Market Insider newsletter. It's free. Sign up at markettomarket.org. Next week, we look at the many sides of the renewed water fight in the South Texas area. We'll also have the commodity market analysis with Sue Martin. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week.